Okay, let's see if this works now. Apparently YouTube changes your stream key periodically. Yay, it's actually working now. That's cool. So yeah, been like a month. This is the 10th Second Life streaming episode. Just gonna dive right in. Yeah, for those of you who haven't actually been in this journey with me before, I just opened the Second Life world map and I find a random sim that falls into certain characteristics that I like, and then I see if I can go there. So just like this. Whisper. I've never been here before, no idea what it is. And it just looks like some kind of mall, strip mall type scenario. Hey, I've seen this fountain before. It's not hydrangeas, but they're pretty nice. And there's the gateway to Fairyland. I gotta say, I don't want to come off as a complete asshole here, but I'm probably gonna anyway. Just getting a little bit tired of seeing the same stuff over and over again in Second Life. Yeah, it's a nice strong stream. I think, yeah, I can just close that and it's all good. Yeah, I got the chat window open over here, so if you want to interact at all, feel free. I'm just like totally out of it today because it's stuff going on in my life, so I might be a little more spacey than usual, which is really problematic because I'm already super spacey. But here's the SL URL if you want to come check this sim out that I happen to be on right now. Yeah, that's not useful. Looks like a tarot deck fortune telling station. This is pretty cool. Yeah, so in these videos I basically just wander around random sims and look at all the things on the sims, and it's a nice chair. Sure, he made this. Wow, really nice topology on there too. DRD, Death Row Designs. It's a beautiful work there. Texture is really nice too. So yeah, this is what I like to do in Second Life. It's kind of frustrating nowadays. It's like a lot of people, I mean, historically, a lot of people have never really known that much about Second Life. Like, you tell somebody you like Second Life and they just give you a blank stare. They don't even know what it is. And it's pretty old now too, so that kind of compounds the sort of lack of awareness of how awesome Second Life can be. That's a cool little clock over there. Nice loud ticking sound. And sprite characteristics. I'm not really a big fan of sprites. Yeah, so usually when I explore a sim, I try to find a patch of bare ground and click on it and actually see like what the sim owner / manager wanted the sim to be. There's a little cave dungeon type thing. For one, it's breaking archetypes. It's not a sex dungeon. It's just, oh, I take that back. Damn it. Crowed the raven nevermore. Yeah, so just exploring a cave, a mine shaft. This is just like such a thing in fantasy RP sims like this. Is that supposed to be cobwebs? Maybe it's just not resin, I don't know. Or no, that's supposed to be like dust. Yeah, but fantasy sim creators just love creating like cave slash mine shaft things. And here's a character ripped straight out of World of Warcraft, it looks like. Like dark elf mesh. Yeah, I'm just getting kind of pissed off at the sort of monotony of the Sims that I visited lately. I mean, you know, I'm a sucker for fantasy. I love fantasy Sims. But it's like, it'd be nice to see just a little bit more originality. It's like they're just so base. Like sex dungeons, gothic mansions, some like slightly unrealistic landscape. Is that like really the extent of the creativity and, you know, aspirations? Like, I've seen this exact fucking place a million goddamn times. I've been to so many different Sims that they're just like, it's like a meme almost. I mean, it is a meme. It's a freaking meme. Ugh. But yeah, so like, I'm really not feeling the Sim. I hope that's Phantom, thank God. Not feeling the Sim at all, so I'm just gonna take off as soon as I've seen a little bit more. Look at this. I think this is actual land. Here we go. Okay, so Rook Mistwalker owns the Sim. Well, I gotta give him props. Like, even if I hate the Sim, at least it's like an original creation. I mean, you know, not original as in the content, but like a single person. It's not like a group owned Sim. So just like a single person has like made this whole Sim. So that's I give a little bit more credit for that kind of thing, because Sims are huge, and to be like the only person developing a Sim is a lot of work. So it's always kind of impressive. Although honestly, this dude has such a one-track mind. It's all just like castles and BDSM equipment, and there's a strip mall over there too. I guess this is still all on the same Sim. Yeah, so there's like a whole bunch of different developments over here. Let's see what this is. Oh, that's just a meter. So yeah, barns really... I got kicked out. So I'm actually glad of, because that Sim sucked. Okay. Time to find another more worthy target. Good old Ahern. God, I used to spend hours and hours and hours just hanging out in this fucking square. This info hub of ill repute. That's where all the cool kids hung out back in the day. Good old Ahern. Oh, what is going on here? Okay, here we go. It's just taking forever for the map to load. And it's not letting me zoom in for some reason. Pretty much gonna ignore any Sim that has the word estates. Rosie and Jock. That sounds kind of cool. I'm gonna try this one. Oh god, people are actually talking about Trump and Ahern. That's so like classic trolling. A bunch of noobs are no doubt falling for it too, of course. Alright, let's see what we got here. Okay, so there's a bullshit covenant. Oh, great, I'm gonna get kicked out in 15 seconds. Well, this honestly doesn't look very promising. It's pretty typical. Like a tropical paradise or whatever. Back to Ahern it is. Or, yeah, okay. to find another sim. Hopefully one that's more hospitable. Navy? Navy? Okay, let's try this. Sight unseen. God, why do I keep rezzing way up in the air? Is this another security? Or was that the place I was just on? Probably. I'll find out in 15 seconds. This looks kind of interesting. Like a little village. Hey, this looks very like Linden-y, like same aesthetic as the moles. I think they're called moles. Are they called shrews? I can never remember. They're like these poor suckers who Linden Labs conned into working for free to build the infrastructure of Second Life, like roads and stuff like that. So this just kind of looks like a big open air shopping center, which honestly, like, I don't want to knock it too hard, but I feel like it's just one of the many scams in Second Life where people create a development where there's like these big open air strip mall things, and then you can go and like rent out stalls or just like little blocks or sometimes prefab buildings like this, for example, and then put your stuff in there and sell it. But it's like how many people actually come to these stores? Like, really? I mean, there's actually a way to find out like what the traffic is on a sim. If I can find some ground. I think this is ground. There we go. Let's see what the traffic is. Do I even remember how to do this? Yeah, traffic. So 1,224 people have visited the entire sim. And I think that rolls over every month, or is that every day? I'm not sure. Anyway. Yeah, so I mean, I guess realistically, if 1,200 people were coming here every day and wandering around and going into these shops, and each one of those people was like buying a few items, like maybe it could make some sort of financial sense. But like, how much are the people who are renting out these shops, you know, paying in terms of rent? I mean, on one hand, it's like they're fully automated, right? You just like set up your shop and then people come and buy stuff. It's like you don't have to babysit the shop. I can't believe it. This is an entire sim, and like this is it. And those shops were like not even packed at all. Actually, I'm kind of surprised at how much space there is in this building over here, and yet when you go inside, it doesn't really seem that huge. But yeah, this is like the premier shop on the site because the sim was named Neve, so whoever owns that shop owns the sim. Wow, there's a lot of freaking racks in here. Cold Logic, so that's maybe like another classic standard sizing, some like other person. But like, yeah, this has just always mystified me about Second Life, is like this thing that people do where they try to recreate real life experiences. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing exactly. Maybe I kind of am, I don't know, trying to be sincere with myself, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, do people really love going into malls that much that they want to like go into a virtual mall and buy virtual clothes? This is not how my mind works. Like, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in here, I guess. I mean, someone worked really hard on these designs, I suppose. I don't know, it's just, yeah, not my cup of tea. But, like, look at all the space in here. It's just, like, a gigantic room. Every wall is plastered with things, and then there's, like, a few racks sort of out. Like, this wouldn't play out in real life. Like, there's no way that a real mall would have such bad space utilization. But, I mean, in the virtual world, that is kind of meaningless. This place is, like, semi-finished. I mean, the lighting is really nice. The architecture's not bad. I mean, taken aside from the utilization of the spacing, it's, like, a pleasant environment. Like those tall windows are really nice and stuff. But, like, yeah, it's just really kind of surreal for me because as long as I've been in Second Life, which is pretty much from the beginning, there have been these, like, malls just like this, like exactly like this. It's just weird. Like, it's hard for me to believe that this actually works as a business model. Like, when you're paying $300 a month to own a sim, to lease a sim from Linden Labs, that's a nice succulent. I like that. Neve. But that's not the creator. Antonia Marat, that name is really familiar. Yeah, this mall is, or yeah, mall I guess you call it, so big I'm like lost inside. These are really nice assets here. Kind of reminds me of Jane, Cold Logic, Navy. Oh, so this is the whole co-owner. It's like one of the people who runs the whole place. Yeah, so anyway, interesting. There's like a whole village that's just dedicated to hosting the creations of these people who are clearly quite prolific, but honestly this is like really boring for a streaming environment, so I'm gonna see if I can find yet another sim to tear to pieces. No. Oh my god. God, it's like out in the middle of nowhere, like next to nothing is near this social anxiety. I think I've been here. This sounds so familiar. Have I tried this? It's probably private. It's called social anxiety, but they let you right in. I know my jokes are too subtle. Sorry. Yeah, okay. I'm feeling this vibe. Definitely feeling this vibe. They say when you see an owl, it's like a symbol of change. Or like a portal opens. Wow, that's fucking awesome. Portal opens to another world, to another possibility. God, this thing is freaking so cool. I want one of these. Fast steamer contraption. Yeah, I'm gonna like save this for later because that is some next level shit right there. Yeah, I need to change the lighting so I can actually see this a little bit better. There we go. Wow, this is super cool. That it's animated and has sound effects just makes it so much better. Are they called these tuk-tuks or something? Yeah, so as I mentioned like in the last video, I think it was, like coziness is totally the dominant theme. Uh-oh. Felt like it locked up on me. Yeah, coziness is like the Zen, is the Tao of Second Life and Second Life creators. Man, this is cool too. Who made this? November. Some great assets in here. Wow, look at that specular mapping on there. That's really cool. Yeah, so it's all about the cows in Second Life these days. Oh, that's kind of cool. A couch surrounded by aquariums. Huh. Yeah, I'm like checking out every single thing in here. Gian. This is a really nice build. The building, I mean. But I'm like hallucinating. I don't think I got enough sleep last night. Man, my brain is like so fragmented right now. I cannot even finish a complete sentence. So, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about sustainability lately. I don't know how much you guys think about sustainability, but this is kind of a dominant theme in my life. I mean, not like necessarily in my personal life, but in my like work life. I don't know what you want to call it. It's like everyone has a, you know, well, not everyone, but most people have a private life and a public life, right? And then other people, I think, have even more than that. Like, they have their real lives, which include the private and the public, and then they have their like mental, psychological, sometimes subconscious life. Those are sweet animations. And for me, I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, sustainability is this theme I've noticed in my personal and private life. But more than that, lately it's been like this dominant force in my subconscious and psychological life. I mean, of course, kind of a ridiculous thing to bring up in a Second Life video, but what the hell, it's my live stream, I can do what I want, right? There was like this UN report that came out the other day talking about how basically like, was avocados? They look like avocado pits. That's fucking kick-ass. Let's see who made these. Oh, the whole house is like one package. Yeah, so anyway, this really nice botanicals. This, oh, those are columbines. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. That is so cool. Damn it, I'm gonna have to check the whole house build. Ugh. Ito, huh? Corey Ito. Yeah, that name's familiar. I lost the plot again. Hopefully this person won't be pissed that I'm in their house. Haha.
No.
Yeah, it was a better interaction than usual. Some people are like really pissed sometimes when you're in their place. Other people are just totally chill. But like, I'm pretty well known in Second Life, so sometimes people actually know who I am, which kind of helps. Yeah, sustainability. See if I can focus for like 5 seconds. Whoa. Okay, now that was cool. Like, what the fuck? That is so cool. You know, I'm starting to think that maybe... How far do these things go? It's like gonna go into outer space? And they're like opening up? Damn, that is cool. That is super cool. This sim's awesome. Here, I'm gonna like put this in the SLURL too. I should just give up, right? I should stop trying to talk and just like enjoy the sim. That's what I should do, but I'm one of those stubborn people who really has a hard time like changing midstream. Once they've made up their mind they're gonna do something. Sim is cool. So this is like a sort of like the fantasy one I was at earlier, but it's like much higher quality and just more interesting and has some really kick-ass assets. Yeah, this is like a redwood forest. This is like my home turf. Well, honestly, those trees are just a little bit, that's not really how redwood bark looks. It's pretty close, though. It's like a 9 out of 10, at least. Yeah, so like, maybe I should come at this at a totally different direction. Like, why have I been thinking about sustainability? Oh yeah, and that reminds me what I was talking about earlier. The UN report, where they're basically saying, like, we are super fucked. Like, human beings are just wiping out all life on Earth. Like, we are exterminating life on this planet. And that is akin to suicide. Straight up suicide. Like, we are all committing suicide as a species. And like, that's some heavy shit, right? You thought you were just gonna enjoy watching someone wander around in Second Life, but no, sorry. This is a heavy, moralizing video about how we're exterminating, exterminating everything and committing suicide as a species. But no, straight up, like, that's literally what this report is saying. And like, here's the deal. This is Neurolab props. I kind of want to stop saying that phrase, here's the deal, because it's so like, it's all about money and financializing everything. No, it's not like, here's the deal. Here's the thing. This is pretty cool. This sim is awesome. Yeah, a report is just a report, right? I mean, sure, it's pretty much like the brightest scientific minds in the world with decades, if not centuries, of data that's been collected by scientists throughout history that are creating these conclusions where it's like climate change, you know, it's like, this is not debatable, it's incontrovertible, it's science. Like, you either accept that it's real or you're fucking crazy, and it's not like, you can't have an opinion about it. You either accept it or you don't, in which case you're denying everything that humanity as a whole has determined is You're gonna feel right at home in here. This is just like the fucking garden. Got their tomatoes. That looks like beets or Swiss chard. I think it's beets. Mushrooms, cabbages. Yeah, so that was the first bombshell. And like, okay, you know, bombshell. Climate change is like every atom bomb, every hydrogen bomb, every thermonuclear device in the whole world launched all at once, raining down on the entire planet from above. It's an extinction level event if it's not addressed, right? So that was like the first report. That was, God, how long ago now? Like a few years ago. It was pretty serious. And then there was the most recent thing where they're saying like 15 years, like 12 years. Like we have 12 years to prevent the 1.5 or 2C warming, whatever it was. Like it really matters how many degrees Celsius it is at this point. It's like, oh, this is cool. This is super cool. I just love stuff like this. Little airship. Yeah, so, okay, that was like bad enough, right? Climate change is like the end of everything. And then they come out with this new report just the other day where they're like, newsflash, climate change is a problem, but we're kind of eradicating all the biodiversity on Earth. Like pretty much just wiping everything out. And it's completely our fault. I mean, there was this debate about climate change for a long time, like, are we causing it or is it just a phenomenon that's happening and we're contributing? No, it's like, sorry, we are causing climate change. And then the biodiversity crisis, which is like, let me try to create an equally terrifying metaphor from the nuclear Armageddon one earlier. It's like, if you were to take all the poison in the world, all the pesticides, all the nerve gas, all the hazardous chemicals that humanity has ever created, and just dumped it all into the ocean, or dumped it all over our major population centers, then that's kind of like what the biodiversity crisis is. Because that's actually not really a metaphor. That's pretty much what's happened, except for the nerve gas. It's like, yes, we basically are poisoning the entire planet to death with plastic and chemicals and pollution and so forth. That's kind of cool. Wow, that's really cool. A little griffin. Hippogriff. Yeah, so it's like, okay, you thought you were fucked with climate change. No, now you're fucked. You are really fucked now. And so that got me thinking more about sustainability, because my job, what I do for a living, is I'm like a farmer. Some people described it as urban farming. God, I think I've seen the whole sim already. This is such a cool sim though. Yeah, definitely check this sim out. It's totally worth it. I'm gonna fly up really high in the sky in a minute, see if I missed anything. But yeah, farming is really fascinating because it's an elite profession. Like 3% of jobs in the United States are farming and agriculture. So like that's literally it. Like 97% of people who are working are doing something else. And yet, guess what? There's this farming joke that I absolutely love. I'm gonna go do another sim in a second, but you should check this one out for sure. yeah, so here's this joke. It's like, you need a doctor every once in a while. You need a lawyer a few times in your life. But guess what? You need a farmer 3 times a day, every single day. Because without food, you're starving. You gotta eat. Everybody has to eat. That's one of our like slogans at our farm. And it's freaking true. Every day, you gotta eat. Unless you're some kind of crazy yogi who can like go for months and subsist on sunlight alone and eat flower petals or what have you. So the problem that I have with this personally is you have 97% of the population eating every single day, but they know fuck all about making food, producing food. I think I've definitely been to Shangri-La. So many Sims. And that is a huge freaking problem. Access. That's where I'm going next. If I can. No access. Ugh. It's a huge problem. Why is it a huge problem? Because you can't exist like that as a civilization. You can't have the majority. The glorious future. This sounds great. No access. I guess I have no future, or at least no glorious future. So, yeah, it's. I mean, most people don't get this, but like, yes, you just can't have Snatch City. I don't know. Paper dinosaurs. That sounds cool. And it looks promising so far. Yeah, you just can't have that because it's just like with anything. Oh, here's another quote that I loved, an environmental quote from one of my favorite philosophers online, who was basically like, just ignore that ringing phone. It's my phone. Yeah, like, basically, you can't have a functioning society without everybody, I mean, I'm paraphrasing heavily here, without everybody doing, that phone's really, like, completely destroying my ability to concentrate. You can't have a functioning society without everybody working in the best interest of that society, basically. And what that is shattering and blowing apart this sort of misconception that people have that any one of us has the luxury to not be acting in the best interests of society, civilization, and the ecosystem. So that's the revelation. Man, I really went inside here, but the door's not opening for me. Oh, I just can walk right through. Cool. That's a neat effect. Yeah, so we have this illusion, this super massive delusion in modern society that we can do whatever the fuck we want. And the truth is we can't. However, I need to, like, full disclosure here, that's only halfway true. Because the thing is, when you have an accumulation of resources and ecological complexity, it's like money in the bank. That's basically what hey, I recognize this style. We all know who this is. Yeah, that's the real wealth of the world, is the ecosystem. So if you have an ocean full of fish, that is your money. That's money in the bank. When you start fishing in that ocean, you're basically making a withdrawal. And it's not like an imaginary thing, it's real. So if you take a fish out of that ocean, it's like taking $1 out of your bank account. And now, yes, fish do reproduce, and if you're patient, and that's really the important thing, is time, right? Because if you're waiting for those fish to reproduce, then it's like money is being made in your bank account. But if you're not waiting, if you're not patient, and if you're just like every single day you're taking more and more fish out of there, you're depleting your bank account, and eventually your bank account is zero, and then you go to withdraw a fish from your account and you got nothing at all, and you're fucked. And that's kind of like the metaphor for the economy and the ecosystem and how they interact. So the thing is like pretty much when human civilization started to rise, we had a full bank account. In fact, we had the fullest bank account that you could possibly imagine. We had a world that was beyond, that had so much wealth in it, it was beyond conception. Like, you take all the money currently existing, we're talking about actual money in the world today, and that's just, wow, this is beautiful landscaping. That would just be like 1/1,000,000,000th of a percent of the money that the ecosystem represented when humans first started to rise. And then humans were like, oh, look at all this free money. We can just start taking as much as we want and spending it however we want. And guess what? That's true. That's 100% true. If you just come across a big ass fucking pile of money in the street and nobody else is around, you can just take that money and do whatever you want with it, right? That was the dawn of civilization. And that's exactly what humanity did. We took that money and we spent it, and now our bank account is like super freaking low. In fact, it's so low that there's hardly enough money left in there for 2 pennies to rub together and create more pennies like fish do in the ocean. Just getting my money's worth out of this metaphor. This is a cool sim, but I'm gonna go do another one now if I can actually hit the right keys. Paper Dinosaur is pretty cool. High quality assets. Check it out. And this is just gonna be an extravaganza of sims today. Yeah, so the thing is, like, humans have no idea how much money is in that bank account. We've only like begun to really understand the ecosystem. Albemarle Cliffs. Let's try this. Oh, no valid parcel. Oh, that's a weird error. Don't see that one very often. Yeah, so it's kind of like musical chairs. You know, you just keep going round and round until the music stops. Wow, I'm just like taking every metaphor known to man here and working it into my crazy diatribe. But yeah, alright, like Sophie. Oh. Yeah, so basically we don't know when the money's going to run out because we don't understand the interrelationships. Alright, let's try good. Is it really good though? So we don't understand the complex interrelationships and interdependencies between all the various moving parts of the ecosystem. Oh yeah, here's another metaphor. Pulling out another one. You ready for this? Okay, it's like Jenga. You know that game where you pull the wooden blocks out until the Jenga falls over? Until your little tower falls over. It's like that. It's like that and musical chairs. So there's music playing, we're dancing around in a circle, we don't know when the music's going to stop, but we're also stacking up blocks and pulling them out one by one, hoping that the whole thing doesn't collapse, which is called a trophic cascade, which is where you fuck up the food chain and then everything stops working because nobody's getting anything to eat. And I really need to get out of this ground. Alright, gonna have to use my little teleporter hack if I can. I'm halfway through the ground. There's gotta be a park bench or something around here I can sit on. Come on, guys. Yeah, so this report is basically, this UN report is basically saying, like, you know, we didn't really know when the music was going to stop or when the blocks were going to fall over, but we have a pretty good idea that it's going to happen sooner rather than later, and we're basically like throwing chairs around and pulling out blocks faster than we ever have. And neither of those things is helping with the availability of places to sit and the stability of the Jenga tower. So, yeah. So, where does sustainability fit in this clusterfuck of metaphors? It's like, what is sustainability? Truly. This is kind of an interesting place, but it's very like bleak and deserted too. I've seen these trolley cars before on my travels. Yeah, so in its simplest form, sustainability is this idea that you can do something forever because you're doing it in such a way that your inputs and your outputs are rationalized. So in other words, like, what the fuck? Like, I'm taking money out of my bank account, right? I'm taking fish out of the sea, but I'm waiting long enough for them to reproduce so that there can be more fish. And that is sustainability, so that I never run out of fish, but I can keep taking them. And the only reason any of that ever works is because of a cycle, you know? You catch the fish, you eat the fish, you poop out the fish, the poop makes plants grow, and then eventually the plants feed the fish indirectly. You know, it's a big freaking circle jerk with everybody taking and giving in order that the cycle of life just keeps on going. And the only time that sustainability becomes unsustainable is when you're taking more than you're giving, which is basically the human MO. It's like humanity is characterized by, or I shouldn't say humanity because it's not all humanity, it's just the majority of humanity. That's kind of cool. Humanity is characterized by taking more than it gives, I would say, because we don't care about sustainability. What we care about is getting that fish out of the ocean and eating it because we're hungry and we like how it tastes, and nobody is around to tell us not to. I mean, that is in the simplest terms is like how humans think. And in a sense, you can't blame us for that because we're just acting like, you know, along our instincts as animals. But, and there isn't really anyone to tell us not to. We're the only ones who can decide whether or not we're going to take, you know, that one more fish than out of the ocean than the ocean can provide with maintaining sustainability. But anyway, I'm kind of getting a little off topic on this. Anyway, thinking about sustainability is more than just, I'm going to go down here and then that's it for this place because it's just a little too like bleak and deserted for me. That's kind of cool. It goes all the way around. thinking about sustainability is more than just understanding that basic mechanic or the basic definition, because sustainability is more than that. Because there's multiple types of sustainability, and then there's multiple interacting dynamics that affect whether something is sustainable or not. Because you could take fish out of the ocean over and over again, but you don't know what those fish are affecting. Those fish are also being eaten by other creatures. So you think you know how many fish you can take, but you don't realize that a killer whale is starving because you took as many fish as you thought was sustainable, but wasn't sustainable for that killer whale. And then that killer whale is starving, so it affects some other thing in the food chain. It's like so complicated. It's beyond any sort of ability to rationally conceive or hold in your mind, and yet humanity just doesn't care. It doesn't give a fuck about that. I mean, we try, and scientists try, but in reality, on the day-to-day logistics, we don't even think for a split second about all that complexity, because it's just too much to hold in your brain. Oh, this was a pretty interesting sim, but I don't know. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think anyone can blame humanity for not being able to hold the entire universe in our brains. I think what you can blame humanity for is to have a certain amount of knowledge. Let's see if I can go here. And awareness of things that are damaging or destructive, and to keep doing it anyway, even though you know better. Because even though we don't know how many fish we can take out of the ocean, we certainly know that we're taking too many. There's no freaking doubt about that. It's not debatable. It's obvious. And yeah, it's like, does that precipitate us taking less fish? No, we're actually taking more than we were when we found out that it was not working out right and that it was hurting things. So I feel like that's something you can really hold humanity accountable for, and it's like a crime that we're all indirectly responsible for, because every one of us is complicit in the system that allows for this to happen. Even though it's not individuals that are, in a sense, doing the majority of the damage, because it's like these monstrous multinational corporations that are doing the actual dirty work at our behest. But that doesn't mean that ordinary people who go to the store and are in the supermarket and are like, all right, I want to have salmon tonight. Like, you're contributing to that. And I don't get me wrong here. I'm not like trying to call anyone out, because I go to the supermarket and I get salmon sometimes. So it's not like I'm not also contributing. I'm just saying, like, it's definitely a problem, and at some point everybody needs to be aware of it, regardless of whether or not you choose to do something about it. Because honestly, at this point, at least for me personally, I feel like my standard of living, and this will probably make me sound like a horrible person, but it's like, I don't know if I can tolerate a lower standard of living. I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, and I've been brought up in a country where, even for someone who's basically below the poverty line like me, my lifestyle is affluent compared to 99% of the rest of the world, or at least 90% of the rest of the world. And like, I don't know, like, if I want to stop eating cheeseburgers. And for me, the price of that the price of continuing to eat cheeseburgers is the extinction of humanity. That every time I eat a cheeseburger, I'm like, the cost of this cheeseburger is not, you know, $5.99 or whatever. It's the survival of the human race. And it's like, is our continued survival, is it worth more than a cheeseburger to me? And I have to say, like, I'm not really sure that it is. And that's only because, like, oh god, those cheeseburgers are so delicious. Like, how can I say no to a delicious cheeseburger? Like, I know that you know, who knows how long we have? Like 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, 5 years, who knows how long we really have. But like, every moment of life is precious and shouldn't be taken for granted. And this sim is not as exciting as I thought it would be, but someone should put a lot of work and effort into making it look fantastic. Yeah, and here's the deal. Like, I said it again. Here's the thing. The reason I say that, the reason that I'm willing to, like, say humanity go extinct for the enjoyment, like the cheeseburger hangs in the balance, and I'm okay with that, is because I'm just being honest. And most people aren't capable of that and aren't, like, brave enough to say it. Like, but they're doing exactly the same thing. It's just that they don't want to actually come right out and say it, that yes, a cheeseburger is worth more than the continued existence of our species. And, like, I'm just saying, like, if that's how you feel by your actions, because it's not about what you say. Let's try oxymoron. What you say doesn't matter. It's what you do. So, like, you can say, like, oh, I want humanity to keep going. I want us to go to outer space. And then you eat a cheeseburger. Like, you are a liar and a hypocrite. So if you're gonna eat a cheeseburger, you better damn well be willing to own up to the fact that you're contributing to the extinction of the human race and all life on Earth. This is some pretty cool sim. And you shouldn't feel guilty about that. You should be like, I'm going to, like, this is my choice, and I'm going to accept the fact that some things are worth more to me than others, and I'm only going to live like 80 or 100 years if I'm lucky on this planet, and maybe I don't even have that much longer to live on this planet because of all the baby boomers eating cheeseburgers in the past. So, like, I mean, me personally, I don't have any skin in the game. I don't have any kids. I don't want to have kids. For me, that actually is like the biggest, most effective thing you can do to prevent the world from ending, or at least civilization from ending, paradoxically, is to not have kids, because creating more human beings is the most effective way to accelerate the extinction of the human race and all life on this planet. So I feel like maybe just the fact that I haven't reproduced is probably justification enough for me to have a cheeseburger every once in a while, because honestly, I think I'm probably doing more to stop extinction by not having kids than if I were to never eat another cheeseburger for the rest of my life. But once again, that's all just like a calculated risk type thing. You just have to make a personal choice what you're willing to sacrifice. But like I said before, I don't think it doesn't matter how you feel or what you say. It just matters what you do. And that's the essence of sincerity, and which brings me back to sustainability, because you can't have sustainability without sincerity. It's just not possible, because you need to understand the consequences of your actions. You need to accept the consequences. You need to be able to make hard choices about what you're willing to sacrifice, and that is something that can only be done through sincerity. If you're an insincere person and you don't really care about things, and you're just kind of like making choices without really thinking it through, or you're saying one thing but you're doing another, like, you're never going to grasp sincerity. You're never going to be able to really do anything that's truly sustainable. So that's like the first obstacle to sustainability, is sincerity. You need to accept everything. You need to be aware of everything to the extent that information is available to you, because, like I was saying before, our ecosystem is so complicated that we just can't perceive it. We can't conceptualize it fully. We can only just sort of have this vague awareness of everything. And then we have these reports from like the UN that are giving us really precious insight into the things that we at least sort of know, which we're not completely ignorant. We do have a vague idea of the consequences of our actions, and that knowledge can be used in order to change the way we live to create positive outcomes. If enough people do it, if enough people are sincere and care. And so I think if there was any like element that was part of the like trifecta of sincerity and sustainability, the third element would be love, because I was thinking about that a lot today too when I was working at the garden that I work at, and I was like, this place could not exist without love, without the love that people have shown it, and that love is something you can't put a price tag on. It exists outside of the sustainability loop. It's its own force, its own power. And I've always thought, like, my loose definition of love is like free energy, because it's like in our entropic universe, or actually some people would say we don't live in an entropic universe, and maybe they're right, I don't know. There's no way to know absolutely for certain. I mean, science gives us a lot of clues, but it doesn't tell us everything. But if our universe is entropic and energy is constantly being sort of like sucked away or transformed and losing its momentum, then to have a source of energy that exists outside of that loop, sort of outside of that entropy, and defies it, that to me is what love is. And it's the ability to do the impossible. Ugh, just fell through the floor. Kind of had enough of this sim. I'm not even sure if I posted it or not. Oxymoron. Pretty cool place. God, I'm gonna go through every sim in Second Life here pretty soon. This looks very similar. This could be owned by the same person or people. I'm doing kind of a half-assed job at the Second Life video, but I think I'm doing a little bit better of a job at explaining all my thoughts on sustainability. So there is that. Yeah, so free energy, making the impossible possible. Like this garden that I work at, it wouldn't exist without people loving it and people being sincere, bringing their sincerity and their love to the garden. It wouldn't be able to survive. Revelations, have I been here? Who knows? So that's an important element of sustainability. Why do I keep appearing underground? This is starting to piss me off. Oh, this looks like a really cool sim. Maybe I can... Yeah! Alright, that got me above ground. Little pro tip. Oh, these are pretty realistic horses. This is an experience sim, so there's some extra special stuff going on. But, yeah, just trying to tie this whole ball of yarn together. So agriculture, it's a totally elite field, and that's problematic because anytime you have just a really tiny fraction of the population who knows how to do something that everyone else relies upon, it's fragility, you know, it's like the weakest link. And the real problem is that people need a complete picture mentally in order to live their lives in a sincere and sustainable way. So like, you go to the grocery store and you get your food, but you don't understand how that food is produced, where it comes from. You know, you don't understand what's involved in that. Like, sure, it's your right to not know that, but at the same time, like, you're not going to be able to make good decisions about something that's really important unless you understand how that food is made and where it comes from. I know it's like a hard sell if you are completely unused to thinking about these things, because in our modern world it's like we're basically kind of trained and expected to be super ignorant about so many things, because honestly there's a lot of bad stuff that happens. That's a cool ship. And the only way that bad stuff could really happen or continue happening is if people are ignorant that it's happening and they don't understand that it's happening. Because if they knew that it was happening, they would be like, I can't support this. I don't want to be part of this. That's why so many farming industries have tried to make it illegal for people to film their practices in their facilities, because it's horrific when you see like animals being horribly mistreated. It triggers a primal response in human beings because we are, you know, mammals, and we're not used to horrific abuse of other mammals. To us, that's not really like a good thing, and it feels horrible to witness that. And the problem is, if all of our farming practices were just suddenly made ethical and not horrific and animals weren't being abused, like if I could just snap my fingers and make that happen, you'd go to the grocery store tomorrow morning and there would be like, you know, 1/10 the food on the shelves that there is right now, thanks to all those horrific abuses and awful things that are happening in the farming world. So it's through ignorance that humanity is able to continue existing in the way that it is. And it's a really hard thing to talk about and to think about, and I mean, even just saying it out loud is kind of, it's a paradox, right? Because we have this sort of populist impression or attitude as humans that we really shouldn't do horrible things, and yet our lifestyle and our existence is reliant on these horrible things in the current world. And most people don't really know that to the degree that they've experienced or seen firsthand the horrors that exist because of those practices. And they don't want to see those things, and I can't blame them. But I think they should see those things. They should know that those things are happening. They shouldn't be ignorant about it, because ultimately what you don't know will kill you. And that's exactly what's happening with our planetary ecosystem. What human beings don't know is literally killing all life on Earth, and we're committing suicide, driving ourselves and every other living creature to extinction because people just don't know what their lifestyle is costing the Earth or even themselves. It's so tragic and bizarre, and like, what? It just doesn't make sense. So like, if you work on a farm, a regular farm, you might see a lot of this stuff and it'll really open your eyes. But I don't work on that kind of farm. I've certainly seen the videos and the documentaries of the bad stuff that goes on, but I work on a completely different kind of farm, an organic farm where we try to have extremely ethical practices, and we don't actually have any livestock, so it's just plants that we are growing. And so we can check off the ethical treatment box for the most part. Like this fort, it's like completely uninhabited. This snowy forest is awesome. Yeah, so there's that, but are we sustainable? Is the organic farm I work on sustainable? And let me tell you, hell no it isn't. And guess what? Every other organic farm in the United States that you get your expensive organic produce from is sure as hell is not sustainable. And the sustainability is just a buzzword when it comes to agriculture for the most part. And let me tell you why that is. Because obviously, don't want to make a grand statement like that without some sort of support. Oh my god, this is a Game of Thrones sim? Ugh. I have never actually... I watched like 20 minutes of the first episode of Game of Thrones, and there was like a rape scene in like the first 20 minutes. I was like, fuck you. I don't need to like pander to this patriarchal torture porn. It's disgusting. So yeah, not down with that. This is a nice build. Yeah, so the reason organic agriculture isn't sustainable, there's so many levels to this, but I'll just attack it at the most sort of primal, fundamental flaw of agriculture, and that's that the human appetite is outrageous and insane. There are too many people and they consume too much, and because of that you just cannot meet demand in a sustainable way. So in other words, like, if there weren't so many people and they weren't eating so much food, you could sustainably feed them. Because if you remember what I was talking about earlier, all those, like the cycle of life and stuff, that is literally the key to sustainability, is that cycle. The problem is you need more food faster than it can be provided, so the cycle is interrupted. So what you have is an extractive model, an exploitative model, where you have slave labor, using more resources, more inputs than they're creating output for. So if sustainable agriculture, it does exist in a few places, it's extremely rare. Almost certainly it's going to be organic. Oh, this is cool, like a Roman. Oh wow, this is the real deal right here. I was just reading about these the other day, like the Roman house is such a genius design. Although this is a little more complicated than the standard house. Wow, it's like a sauna in here, cool. Yeah, so true sustainability in agriculture, what it requires is that you are producing your own nutrients that are then used to feed your crops. And there are many different ways to do that. There's Cthulhu. Sustainably, however, it's small scale. No matter how you look at it, it's super small scale. So, like, yes, you can grow a percentage of crops that are then turned into fertilizer, essentially, or compost, as the case may be, that is then used to grow food crops. However, it's like 60-40 ratio. So if you have 1 acre of food crops, you know, you need 1.5 acres of compost crop. Like, that's for real sustainability. And the alternative to that is what we have in the modern age, which is we have all of these systems that are designed, I like this Arabian motif in here, to create food for crops that are unsustainable. So even if you're producing so-called sustainable food, it's not truly sustainable because you're feeding the crops from an unsustainable process. It's really a lot to wrap your head around, and you don't really understand this until you've been working on an organic farm, and then it's like the whole illusion is just peeled away, and you're like, holy shit, where's the sustainability? There are organizations in the world who are trying to create a completely sustainable agriculture, and that's like Ecology Action is one where they basically grow all of the compost crop in the same area where they produce their food crops, and then it's a complete closed loop system. So in other words, they get an output, but they're also generating their own input. Although I'm sure you can see the problem, the intrinsic problem there is that you're always going to need input, and like if you want to increase output, you need more and more input. So if you're producing 100 pounds of potatoes, but you want 1,000 pounds of potatoes, you're going to need to proportionately increase your input in order to produce more output. And the input has to come from somewhere, and that's why things like cover crops and stuff like that is really important, because you can draw nitrogen out of the atmosphere or through symbiotic soil microorganisms that can produce food for your food crops. because, you know, plants are just like us, they need to eat, so you're really feeding them before you can feed us. Well, I think I've seen everything. This is just a total medieval sim. It's got like the Game of Thrones, the Round Table, and that looks like Winterland or whatever the hell the place is called in Game of Thrones. I'm not sure if I went to every one of these places. It's really hard to think and talk at the same time sometimes, especially this like incredibly heavy stuff. Kind of want to go over to this other forest area and see what that is. If I can even get over there. Might even be another sim. Oh yeah, it is. It's a connected sim. That's cool. Better like post the SL URL before I forget. Oh, they turned flying off in this sim. Yeah, so it's like the inputs have to come from somewhere, and as long as your outputs are reasonably low, you can achieve them sustainably. However, in the modern world, it's like the pressure to produce more and more is always on, and it's always accelerating. So it's like no matter how much you produce, it's never enough, because, well, firstly, you're competing with totally unsustainable means of production, where you've got like monocultures that are all powered by petroleum fertilizers that are just like insane. I mean, that's where the majority of food comes from in the modern world. I really like this little stove kettle thing. That's really nice. Where is this from? Real Ixel. That's super cool. It's a really tight mesh too. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm at another one of those like pivotal times in my life where I'm just trying to think about the future, and you know, pretty much every millennial has this problem with like wondering whether or not there's even going to be a future for us to live in with all these things going on, climate change and the biodiversity crisis. It's pretty dire. I mean, I don't want to be like super negative about it, but that's definitely where my head goes. I don't know, I'm kind of out of steam at this point. I'm just like, oh, look at these redwoods. This is a lot more realistic than that last one. It's still not really like, oh, that's more of a cypress. Huh. Yeah, so sustainability is just like, it's a real achievement. If you can accomplish sustainability, it's like a miracle in agriculture, because you're like some kind of wizard. And it's not because sustainability is hard. It's because production targets are unrealistic, because you can't produce as much as the market demands sustainably. You can produce it, absolutely, if you're like pillaging the ecosystem, if you're using super destructive and toxic methods to produce the food. Where's the door to this place? I want to go inside. You're open, but there's no door. Oh, there it is. How did I miss that? Oh, it's right there. Jesus. Oh, this is some really high prof acidity in here. Yeah, that's a lot of polys, but sure is a cool effect. Croy, huh? I'm just gonna sit down here for a bit. Perfect. Yeah, that's like maximum co's in here. Damn. Cookies and tea? Yeah, I just find myself wondering a lot when I'm working, like, what am I really doing? Like, if this isn't sustainable, it's like, oh, that's really cool how the glass has a texture on it and that's like top tier. What am I? Oh, apple fall. God damn it. Should have known. It's probably all apple fall stuff. Got suckered into another apple fall demo. It's a lot of milk. Yeah, so I guess at the end of the day, like, my question to anyone really is like, what's it gonna be? Like, what are you gonna choose? Are we all just gonna keep eating cheeseburgers and be like, fuck the police, fuck the planet, like it's gonna end, we might as well go in swinging? Or is it gonna be like, I don't know, like, let's radically alter every fucking aspect of society in our lives and basically return to pretty much the Stone Age? Because really, realistically, that's about the last time human civilization was truly sustainable. Like, what's it gonna be? Or, like, I guess there's a third alternative, and it's just like, well, we don't make a choice, and we just go on living. And, like, at the end of the day, everyone's kind of just doing what they have to do to survive, right? And personally, I can't hold that against anyone, because, I mean, if you cease to exist, you can't even have opinions. You can't even do anything. So you gotta keep living. You gotta keep just doing what you can do. I mean, I think that's really important to like think in those terms, because survival's hard. Like, even in our ridiculous modern world where so many things are taken for granted and we're given so many advantages and privileges, like never being hungry. I mean, I can't say that that's really true for me anymore, because it's not that I'm too poor to feed myself, but I definitely, like, my mental health isn't always like ideal, and sometimes I just don't eat and I get hungry. But for the most part, like, if you don't have mental health problems, then yeah, there's a good chance that you will never be hungry. Because, I mean, the people that are going to watch this video are like me, like in the upper, 10% of the global population, pretty much. Like, we're the chosen ones. We're the affluent rich people. Everyone else is a poor scrub living down in the undercity, in the slums. I mean, I know nowadays with like mobile technology and stuff, there's a lot more accessibility and distribution than at any other time in human history. So like even underprivileged people have access to the internet and stuff. Oh god, gotcha. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty overwhelming, to be honest. But at least for me, like at work, I've decided like to put my foot down a little, and I'm like, I am endeavoring to be more sincere, to like fight for sustainability, to fight to create sort of a balance between supply and demand. I mean, economically speaking, it's impossible. I mean, even mega farms are subsidized like significantly. So I mean, when you're buying potatoes $1 a pound or 59 cents a pound or whatever, that's because those farms are subsidized. So your tax dollars or somebody else's tax dollars are paying for, $1 of that potato per pound. So like in reality, if they weren't subsidized, you'd be paying $1.69, instead of 69. So I mean, if you think that's the state of affairs for mega farms, then what do you think of like a little organic farm that isn't even relying on those particular subsidies and basically is trying to produce food sustainably instead of at a mass scale where they have the advantages of economy of scale, which to me doesn't even seem like a real thing anymore. Like economy of scale is kind of right back where I started, is in my mind a bit of an illusion. My cat is like headbutting my face. Good boy. Good boy. Good baby. Are you cold or something? Poor thing. Oh, he's headbutting the mouse. Ugh, come on, Mango. I'm not ready to stop live streaming. This was worth checking out over here. This particular attached sim, my expectations weren't very high, but it's been pretty aesthetically pleasing. A little more of this fairy tale scenery that never seems to get old in Second Life. God, puppers, come on. Oh, you little baby. He's being such a good cat. Sorry for the cat interruption. Alright, come on now. You're getting a little too wild. Alright, gonna find another sim. Genesis and Revelations, two pretty cool sims to check out. Nazca, Cusco, Lima, Paraca, so Central America sims, is that what that is? Rune Asylum. That sounds kind of sketchy. Oh, the old lab. That's curious. I'm gonna try this. No, no access. God, Mango, come on, man. How am I supposed to stream with you just totally going to town on my keyboard? haven't been here already, have I? I feel like, yeah, I've totally been here. I don't know. Seal Cove. That does not sound familiar. Yeah, basically this live stream is going to keep going until my wife gets home. So, who knows when that could be. This could go for 5 hours. Virtual spaces? Huh. This is curious. IOD. Great. So instead of appearing underground, now I appear up in outer space. Ugh, just now I'm gonna get down there. There's gonna be nothing. Guess I was wrong. Oh, the cat returns. This looks like a hamster cage. I don't think I want to try this one. Yeah, I was just there. Damn it. Shoot, insular. I need to really go way the fuck out in the middle of nowhere here. Looks like test servers. Puppers. I call my cat Puppers even though he's a cat because he acts so much like a dog sometimes. Maybe I should go to one of these new Linden continents. This looks like a experimental. Probably won't have access to this. I'm gonna go off in a completely different direction. There's just so many Sims. It's kind of ridiculous. Mango, stop bunting my mouse hand. Holy wood. That sounds pretty cool. Ugh, Mango, come on, man. Wow. Visitor 6,685. Wow, this is beautiful. It's like some Great Gatsby vibe going on here. Wow, that palm is fantastic. Mango, you need to stop sitting on my keyboard. Ugh. Yeah, I wouldn't shut up for like 3 hours and now I'm gone totally quiet. Just gonna enjoy the scenery for a while. Got fucking bottle opener. Look at that detail. Corkscrew. Not a bottle opener. Jeez, what was I thinking? There's a lot of prims in here. This is very well articulated. It's the top tier build. The hell is this? Like a glory hole? Weird. Bathroom stall with a built-in glory hole? Huh. That's cool. Surreal. That's really cool. It's like a peep show or a confessional. You know, I knock the sex sims quite a bit, but at least they're interesting. Is there a button in this? Glossary jazz terms, huh? I wonder what percentage of the objects in Second Life also exist in real life versus like purely virtual. Guessing the percentage is pretty slow. Hey, a salt lamp. These are so trendy. Himalayan salt lamp. Yeah, somebody I worked with a while back who's kind of hit or miss. Well, it's almost cute if I like dogs. He said, like, you shouldn't become paralyzed with fear because then you lose. I sure have known a lot of wise people. But she was also a huge proponent of civility. Interesting. Civility at any cost, which I am definitely not a fan of. I feel like people have an obligation to defend themselves. Oh, it's too bad. This is a really cool build, but it's super concentrated, which I guess is sort of what you would expect from this kind of an establishment. Like, look at this, a huge sim. Like, seriously, there's more stuff on this sim. To get out of here somehow. There's a landing pad, though. Yeah, that sucks. There's no way to get out of here. But there's like a whole island down at the bottom. Looks like private rooms over here, too. It's like a surveillance center. Oh, this is pretty cool. It's like a little hidden crash pad over here. Oh, come on now. I'm having trouble getting my, Ugh. I can get it eventually. There we go. Come on. It's hard to control where you're looking when you can't get something to grab onto. Got a private bathroom and shower inside this little secret. Surveillance dome. CDs are kind of sticking through the desk there. It's a cool light. Is this dynamite? What the fuck? Yeah, I wanted to take a look out here, but it's really narrow, so like... There we go. Just needed a little more control. I'm actually pretty sloppy at navigating. That's creepy. The porno couch. Can't believe these assets. Like, Jesus Christ. They're like so detailed. And someone really went to a lot of freaking work to make this place as realistic as possible. This like literally looks like a place that a person could almost comfortably live in. Must be the person who owns this place, maybe. Jesus Christ, the details. Insane level of detail. The textures haven't even like fully loaded. That's a cool steampunk lamp. Got all the filaments are articulated. Makes my Nixie tube seem kind of amateur hour by comparison. I'm kind of glad I sort of somewhat quit the 3D modeling scene Second Life, because honestly the competition is cutthroat. I don't have the fucking patience to do stuff this elaborate. Wow, that's fucking tight. Like, look at this, even the outlets. The door to nowhere. I saw some other buildings out here in the middle of nowhere too. There we go. This isn't quite as detailed. Kind of like a unfinished version of the other buildings. You can always tell where people spend their time by how many furnishings they have in their little crash pads. I think I've pretty much gone through everything there is to see here. Oh yeah, let me post the SL URL for this because it seems kind of cool. I mean, at least worth a look. Although you've seen and then some. Alright. But it really is out in the middle of nowhere. Someone wanted their privacy, I guess, and yet they didn't make it a private sim. They had like a club type thing there. I just stick to the outer regions, like they call this in deep space, like the outer rim. Tierra Bella. This is the Pleasant Change. That's kind of cool. They have a group that links to their marketplace. Although once again we have a whole sim that's just exclusively dedicated to this one store. Ugh. Seems like such a waste. All that creative potential. And there's just a strip mall. Those are nice hydrangea planters. The thistle coming out of the middle, that's pretty cool. Those are nice hydrangeas. I hate it when they turn off flying. I'm not gonna walk around in here for 15 minutes. Alright, there's a run hack that one of my viewers taught me a while back. Is this chipmunks? Rabbits? Rabbit chipmunks? I don't know. I really want to go over there, but I'm just gonna end up in the ocean. That's cool. It's like a door or window thing up on a... I think that's sort of the accidental slash incidental surrealistic experiences in Second Life are some of the best. Yeah, nothing really to see here. I'm not even gonna bother putting that in the chat log. No matter what, I can't lose because I'm using up Google's bandwidth and disk space on their YouTube servers, so there's that. Kinky Magic. Sign me up. Yeah, this was a mistake. I'm already getting a mistake vibe. Dinner pretty soon. I'm not even gonna wait for the wifey to get home. Forget that. Everybody's gotta eat, right? It's really nice when I actually make a full meal from produce that I grew myself at the garden. Like, I made some potato leek soup. The only ingredient in it that didn't come from the garden was salt, and it was super delicious. In fact, and I don't know if this had to do with the soup or what, but literally the day that like the afternoon after I had this lunch, I was having like mental clarity like I had seldom experienced in my life. I mean, in fact, I'm still experiencing a little. I'm not as articulate as I would like to be because I've never been super articulate. Like, I have moments of articulateness, but in general... Aww, ejected. Yeah, I aspire to be articulate. Oh, there's Peach-Ann, my other cat. Pistachia. Everybody wants a turn today. Yep, you're so vocal. Oh great, I'm just gonna get ejected again. Well, this sim doesn't want me to stick around, so... Kinky magic is not for me. Yeah, but that soup, like, I think it was just the nutrients and that it was such, like, high quality ingredients. I felt like I was experiencing some kind of enlightenment. I mean, I'm sure that sounds crazy, but that's how it felt. Like, I was just seeing everything. Like, things that I wouldn't normally see. I was making all these mental connections that I wouldn't normally make. They say that food today is, like, 40% less nutritious than food, like, 60 years ago because of all the, like, trace minerals and stuff that have been bred out of modern foods and all the refinements and sort of process, like the processed foods. They're less nutritious. They have more calories often, but less nutrients. So when you eat real food, and I use that term lightly, because I mean, all food is real food. However, like, for organic farmers, there's a difference between like a tomato that you buy in the store and a tomato that you grow yourself. The flavor is different. It's like a completely different thing. Great, another security orb. Fuck you and your security orb. Paradise red. I'm just cold dialing sims at this point. Wow. This is my kind of sandwich. Just an endless void of white sand. It's perfect. I love it. I'm moving here. I'm serious. This is like my actual paradise. This is cool. It's literally just a completely empty sim. Nothing but water and sand. And perfectly flat. Videos. Interesting naming convention. Chestnut Valley. Alright, come on. Don't fail me now, teleporter. Ugh, and I like appeared right inside a wall or some shit. Whoa. That's weird. What the fuck is this? A+ events, huh? Alrighty then. Probably like whatever is to be seen here is way up in the sky. Ugh. There's another strikeout. Alright. Dark Sun. This reminds me of Black Sun. Why do I keep ending up in the ocean? Okay. Why did you have to turn off flying? Yeah, I'm not trying to get in there. I just want to climb this stupid hill. Poor Neo Toy. Ugh. Could not teleport closer. That was not close. That must be like a landing zone or something I'm missing. Maybe it's one of those little like cordoned off boxes. Yeah, that's what it is. Damn it. Okay, I guess I'm not going to be exploring Dark Sun either. Victory Island. Alright, now we're talking. Palm trees as far as the eye can see. Jesus Christ. Mango, you can't go through there. Ugh. Sorry, Victory Island. It's a no-go. Not really my style. Romantic Bay. Coral Beach. I had all these potentially interesting sims that I will never get to see. New Moon. That sounds cool. It looks like a lunar landscape. It'd be nice to see something truly different for once. I'm getting really sick of the totally conventional builds. And of course I teleport directly into an incredibly conventional build. Come on, your sim is called New Moon. Where's the moon? Where's the landscape? Just like a brick shit house on the edge of a huge ocean. Yeah, that's the downside of randomly dropping into people's sims, is you really never know what you're gonna see. Sometimes nothing. Magnum, huh? Sounds like a sex sim. I think I'll avoid that one. Oh, this one looks interesting. Redemption Island. Huh. I could definitely do with some redemption. And no security orbs are kicking me off immediately. That's good. Wow, that's a hell of a tree house. Yeah, so at this point, my stream is basically for people who are bored to death. Oh, this is pretty cool. Oh, this is a hell of a build. Looks like a custom treehouse too, not a prefab. This reminds me a little of I can't remember the name of it now, but there's this group on InWorlds. These like little animal people. I don't know if they're furries or what. I think they call themselves Littles. And they have like this giant treehouse. I made a video of it like years ago. This is really cool. How the floor goes around the tree branch that's going through the room. That's super cool. Window blinds. I guess it is a prefab after all, huh? Shows how much I know. It's like pretty much every... It's a weird system. What the fuck? The window has like tiny little windows on the sides. That's very curious. Oh, that's cool. The branch goes through both rooms. That's beautiful. Huh. I don't want to go down, I want to go up. Yeah, I think the kind of irony is that even if you're not, like, paralyzed by fear, there seems to be a lot of instances where... Oh, that's cool. Functional articulated gears. Like a giant windmill or something. Like, you can't do anything, even if you're not afraid. Which is very, like, demoralizing. But at the same time, it's like you could also argue that you can always do something. I mean, it's kind of an illusion that you can't do anything or that you're powerless. Because, I mean, countless times throughout history, a single person has completely changed the course of history. Like, it happens all the time. It happens all the time nowadays. I mean, you could say that certain individuals who started social media companies have changed the world. Some would say for the worse, but there's just an example of how it still continues to this day. I mean, you don't have to, like, be a genius. You can be an asshole like Mark Zuckerberg. So, yeah, we should never feel powerless or hopeless. No matter what. I mean, that's how I keep going. That's how I've avoided suicide all these years. No, seriously though, it's like... Yeah, it's true. And, on a daily basis, like, every little choice we make has an impact. You know, that is felt throughout time. Throughout the universe. I mean, yeah, that's a bit hippie woo-woo, but it's also true. And no matter how much we think we know, this is one of my favorite things that I actually came up with. Knowledge is finite, but ignorance is infinite. So, no matter how much you think you know, there's still things you don't know. In fact, there's an infinite amount of things you don't know. So, no matter how sinister or what's the word I'm looking for? Mr. Eloquent here. Certain things seem. Looks like I stumbled into a preschool or a daycare or something. The outcome is not certain. There's still potential for things to go in a completely different direction. Wow. What, the freezer won't open? Come on. I want some ice cream, for Christ's sake. I don't have this Chobani shit. Ugh. I mean, what am I gonna do? Drink some taco sauce? Come on. Yet another kitchen. I've seen so many kitchens in Second Life. I would steal that pie right now if it were possible. I'm actually kind of hungry. I'm gonna have dinner pretty soon. Oh my god. Someone's baby crazy here. Destiny Dark Mist. Oh, that's cool. How about this shit sells like hotcakes on the marketplace? Hell, even I want one. Yeah, I think Terminator 2 Judgment Day said it best. No fate but what we make. I think there was more to it, but that's all I remember. The future isn't written. That's what it was. Pretty nice house you have here. Ugh, there's always a sex room. Seriously. Do people actually have these in their houses? Like, I really want to know. Like, I don't have a sex room, but is this like a thing that I should know about? Because I'm like definitely not a normal average American. Like, is this a normal thing? I keep wondering, like, how much of this is custom decoration and how much of it is just like prefab, pre-decorated. There's a lot to explore on this sim. I could spend an hour in here probably, so I'm actually really glad because I want to follow this path and see if it leads me over to that cool looking structure up there that looks kind of like a junkyard. Great job on the landscaping. A++ would stroll around aimlessly again. Whoa. It's a nice specular mapping on that old 57 Chevy. Maybe. I don't know what that is. Just kind of look like a Chevy. That's my go-to car when I see an old car and I don't know what it is. '57 Chevy. Trailer Park Pinball. What? I've never seen this. Holy shit. That is so cool. I mean, yeah, it's like a 3-frame translucency faux animation, but does it actually act? Does it like trigger when I walk through it? Oh, Dad, that is so cool. Never seen that before. It's always something new to see. That's kind of surreal. The fuck is this, a microwave? Weird apartment or trailer. Please don't be a sex room. Waiting for the panties to res. Ugh. Alright, I thought, yeah, there's another one. Jesus Christ. Slumming it. Poop champion, really? Wow. I hope there's some heroin in this cabinet. Need to fix after this. Just like underwear and crazy sex toys all over the place. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That pallet with cardboard boxes on it. Interesting. That wasn't quite as exciting as I thought it would be, but it was still pretty exciting. I love how the treehouse is like the central focus of the whole sim. I can never look at these tiki torches anymore without thinking about racism, thanks to those alt-right fuckers. This looks like a pawn shop. Maybe it's a fishing shop. I guess it's just some kind of market. Pretty sparsely stocked, though. That's what happens when you run out of prims. Ugh. Jesus, a clusterfuck of tiki torches. That doesn't look very good. Yeah, 1950s Americana. Such a big deal in Second Life. Like, there just must be a shit ton of baby boomers in Second Life. That's all I can say. Into the bayou, get some moonshine and gumbo. There's the axe murderer. Oh. Thumbs up on the creepy door sounds. It's just a bayou out here type thing. Doesn't seem like there's really any structures though. Ah. Did I go into that house yet? That's a cool staircase made of a few sticks. I like the architecture. This reminds me of a house in New Orleans that I stayed in for a summer. Oh God, really? Like a Ringu screenshot? Pretty weird decor. That's a cool window. There's definitely an effect that the coziness has over time on you as you're just like wandering through cozy after cozy environment. Like it kind of lulls you into this like sleepy hypnotic state. Like I pretty much just want to like curl up in one of these beds and take a nap. Alright, time to check out another bayou hillbilly shack. It's a crocodile or alligator or something down there. This is cool. Ooh, really nice touch on the dilapidation with the branches, tree branches growing through the architecture. That's a nice attention to detail. Probably a prefab though, now that I know the secret about the tree house. I used to build stuff like this, not out of mesh, but out of prims. Gonna see these cute kitties playing on the boots. Kind of a little bit of a clash. I mean, they tried to match the decor, but it's hard to pair something with a Bayou Shack. Uh-oh. Great, I'm as good as alligator food now. Anytime I'm on one of these boardwalk environments, it just takes me back to Myst. Like that one part of the game where you're walking through on this boardwalk out in this sort of like swampy area with trees. I think I have been to that house. That was the first one I went to. Hey, puppers. Puppers. I think I've seen the whole sim. Let's go on a high note, shall we, Mange? That's my cat's nickname, because actually my wife coined it. I don't know how or why. Oh yeah, I do actually. I do know how and why. When we first got him, he was like this shelter cat, and he had fleas and worms and God knows what else. Anyway, he was like this plague cat, and we couldn't cure him. Like, we gave him all these treatments. We tried so hard to rid him of all of his infestations. He's finally disease-free now, years later, but oh my god, it was an ordeal getting him back to health, and so we called him Mange. He didn't actually have the mange, but luckily he was spared that indignity, but he was in pretty bad shape when we got him. I think he might have been abused or something, I don't know. He's always been really needy, which I actually kind of like. I mean, I don't like that he suffered, but I like that he craves attention and is very affectionate. He's just the sweetest animal. Although he was also really violent when we first got him and would hurt me and my partner. He'd bite us and scratch us and stuff. Just because he wasn't getting enough attention. It wasn't like he went out of his way. Hey, Pippi. Yeah, he just needed a lot of love, and we've rehabilitated him over the years, so he's more or less well adjusted now, I'd say. It's a success story, May. Yep, our pride and joy. Puppers. Well, that's cool. Tadpoles. Whoa. Super cool. Never seen a tadpole in Second Life before. That's neat. Coral and core. These succulents are such a big deal. Oh my god, can't even go into a grocery store nowadays without seeing a huge table of succulents for sale. Yeah, I learned something really upsetting about those recently. I was doing volunteer work at our botanical gardens, which is like huge and one of the coolest botanical gardens in the world, from what I hear. And anyway, they had, one day they just had all these succulents that were delivered, and then I heard the next day, like, where they came from. Apparently poachers had gone onto the headlands around where I live, and they had dug up and tried to steal. I don't know if you can call it stealing, but they tried to abscond with all of these succulents. Like, they basically just completely decimated this hillside and just took every single succulent, because I guess then they take them to the city and they sell them for like a ridiculous markup, you know, because of course they're stealing them, so it costs them nothing except for the risk. And anyway, they got caught, so the cops busted them, and then they were like, oh no, what do? We have all these succulents that we're taking. I was just here, I'm on crack, that we're taking out of this sort of like fragile ecosystem. So anyway, they gave them to the botanical gardens so that they could put them back. And I guess they did eventually get around to putting them back. But it was quite an ordeal. I'm glad they caught those fuckers. But yeah, what I learned then from the people at the gardens, when I asked them for more details, they were like, yeah, most succulents that you see, like if you go into a store like Trader Joe's or wherever the fuck, those are poached succulents that have been stolen from just some random location and then resold. So like, it's, I don't know the exact statistics, but it's like the majority of succulents that you can buy in stores are not propagated on like in plant nurseries, but they're actually, like I said, poached, which is super tragic, because, you know, when poachers go in, they just like pick clean wherever the succulents are and leave nothing. So yeah, it's a real tragedy. That's so cool. They got a boarded up regular window with closing shutters. That's rad. Ugh, damn it. Had that lag thing happen where I just like lose a frame or two and then slam into a wall. Yeah, more cozy coz. If I don't end up taking a nap after this, it's gonna be a miracle. That's a cool build. Death Row Designs. I'm gonna have to check them out, because that's the second thing today I've seen from Death Row Designs. But I like this laundry basket too. It's kind of a rainbowy color. It's a nice basket design. Solid. Yeah, I miss making assets sometimes. Like a lot. Like I really enjoyed it. And when I see a high quality asset in Second Life, I'm like, damn. Wish I was still doing that, but it's only so many hours in the day. I'm kind of looking forward to this winter, because I almost feel like I might try to take it off and not even work. Like I don't know how I'm gonna make that work financially, but I just really kind of want to do something else. I'm just sick of farming. Alright, I think I've seen it all. This is a great sim though. I'm gonna paste this into the chat for sure. Ugh. So yeah, check this one out. Redemption Island. Definitely a small part of me was redeemed thanks to this sim. Okay, it's been real. Sorry to drop all that heavy shit on you guys, but I don't know. Keep the faith. Stay alive. Just do what you do. It's all good. Catch you later, guys.